Hello, everyone. Liberal Tarot. I'm Sherry. Blue dot, red state. Subscribe and like. I really appreciate it. It helps to grow my channel. So, quick intro to get to the good stuff. Oh my God. I haven't stopped laughing. That is why I did not do a reading yesterday because I was laughing. I mean, this has been peak schadenfreude, levels here. I mean, oh my goodness. Yeah, so apparently, the daddies are fighting. What will MAGA do? Who will they choose in this divorce between, MAGA and the oligarch techno-fascists that do, I mean, do some people in MAGA actually think that any of these people care about them? Anyway, so Musk gave the one finger salute on his way out of Washington as he threw a hand grenade over his shoulder into the big, beautiful bill and just blew everything up, including his relationship, apparently, with Trump. So the reading that I had come out on Friday, I actually recorded on Tuesday, and I kind of got that, things weren't going to be going well and that they really don't like each other. I had no idea that it would get to the levels that it got to. I mean, I don't know why I thought they'd act like adults, but men are just way too emotional to be, in positions of power. We've all seen those tweets going around, and it just makes me laugh. So this is just, I've got notes here. Trump threatens to cancel Musk's contracts. Musk says the quiet part out loud, and not only says that if it weren't for him, Musk, Trump would not have won the 2024 election. And that the House would have been, and the Democrats, and the Senate would have been 49-51. That's an oddly specific number, don't you think? How does he know about that? And we're going to talk more about election fraud here. So this is probably going to be a long intro because if you're like me, you just relish in all of this, and that is what I'm doing. I am taking a moment on my platform to just relish this beauty that we have seen over these last couple of days. And then, so he talks about the election, that Trump didn't win. If it weren't for Musk, he wouldn't have won. So what does that mean? And as a kind of finishing touch in the little, spat there, he said the reason Trump doesn't want to release the Epstein files is because Trump's all over the Epstein files. We knew that, but and I should say this is all for entertainment purposes only. Everything here on this channel, this video, every post, everything, always for entertainment purposes only. But anyway, Musk accused Trump of being a pedophile. Okay, and so that was something. And then the way I found out about what was going on is I was kind of scrolling through TikTok, and Aaron Parnas came up and, was like, breaking news. Musk says this about the big, beautiful bill. And then I was like, oh, and so I kind of watched it. And then it was like, and then the next one was like 30 minutes later, and it's like breaking news. Trump says this. And then a little bit later, it was like breaking news. And what was funny is that if you go back to Aaron's TikTok, yes, I'm going to send you to another platform. There's like 4 or 5 videos right there, and watch all the videos, but then go back and just listen to like the first couple sentences, which is breaking news. Musk said, whatever, and then flip to the next one, and then you get the breaking news. Trump said, blah, blah, blah. Scroll to the next one. I did that probably more than I should care to admit, and I was laughing the entire time. Okay. So, and now, Trump apparently has deleted his posts, and he's selling his Tesla. Musk wants to talk, but Trump's like, I don't want to talk to you. And I mean, this is kind of better than a CW teen drama, show. So, Anyway, I just have been laughing my ass off. So, the other thing that I kind of mentioned about the election fraud, there is news on that. Okay. Um, there has been evidence presented, and a court case is going to move forward into discovery on possible election fraud. So in New York, a New York Supreme Court judge, I'm not really quite sure how this case even got to that point, but he, whatever, I think it was a female judge, ruled, looked at the evidence that was presented and said, there's enough evidence here for this to move forward into discovery. And it was, I'm not going to go into all of that here because somebody else has done an outstanding job, not only explaining all of that, because that's kind of his forte of, looking at, the data. And I'm going to put the link to both, it's a reader, to the reader. And in his description, he's got a link that goes to it's like a local news station there in, whatever town in New York. But it's David from Truro by the Bay. And he did an excellent job explaining what the evidence that was in the article was presented. That's kind of his background, is to look at, he's a scientist and, analyzes things. Anyway, he explains all that, does an excellent job. Go see that reading. Okay. Go see his reading, go read all that. It's excellent. So I do not want to, I don't see a need to redo his reading that he's already done, but I am going to ask a few questions on that. So I've got notes here because I knew I was just going to be so, I'm just laughing that I knew I would need help staying focused. So, election interference. I'm going to ask, what ends this administration first? A health issue, impeachment, election fraud, or Peter Thiel? And I've seen this post going around, and this speculation going around, that we may be witnessing an attempted coup d'etat. That Peter Thiel and Musk and the other techno-fascists, tech bro guys, oligarchs, are setting this up to install J.D. Vance as president. Now, I did a written reading, on posts on YouTube about that. If J.D. Vance becomes president, it's like a hot minute. I mean, I just don't. It was like he's reaching the highest level of of political, level that he's going to get with vice president. And if he becomes president, I don't see that lasting, okay, because of the election fraud stuff, okay, and I think other things that are coming out. I have been consistently getting the Seven of Cups in a lot of my readings, and that Seven of Cups is like, and I always say, it's like spin the wheel, who knows what all's going on behind closed doors. And I think that when this is all said and done, I think that what we find out and what we learn is just, I think it's going to be pretty horrendous. So I want to look, and probably more of my focus on my reading is going to be that. Like, this whole thing that Musk has done has just been a spectacle. And you notice that he's been calling for Trump's impeachment. And then there's been other posts of people saying, watch for this. They are going to be calling for Trump's impeachment because they want to have J.D. Vance installed. Okay. So I'm going to ask about that. And before I get started with the reading here, I know this is a long intro, but I felt like we just needed to kind of bask in that schadenfreude together. Seriously, I have not stopped laughing. But before I start today's reading, I'm going to suggest that you go look at my June energy like the energy for June, and you don't have to watch the whole thing again. Just watch that first week, because we just now had the first week ending, here in June. And what I got was actually a lot tamer than what actually happened. And as I said, that could be, my interpretation. Well, it was my interpretation because I didn't think they would get so crazy. I mean, there is no bottom. When will I learn? But I've learned my lesson, you know, on that. So it's a really good, it's an excellent example of like what we can get in readings and then versus what actually plays out. Now, that's a pretty over the top comparison because I mean they really just they went out there somewhere, with that. But it's a good example of that. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I see. And yes, I backseat read my own readings. And I can go, oh, I totally see how that was and where that came in. So, the most stupidest timeline ever. But at least we have these moments of laughing, and our popcorn. And as Trey Crowder said, just as a reminder, PSA, laughing while eating popcorn is a choke hazard. And Trey Crowder, go watch it. His stuff is hysterical too. But he's released his redneck take on, what we have witnessed these past couple of days. So as I said, he puts a really hysterical spin on it. So we are going to now get to the reading, and what I want to know, there's a lot I want to know, but what I'm going to focus on, and I am going to kind of like speed this up now and kind of get through these questions because I have a lot of questions. I want to know what is going to happen next between Trump and Musk, and is Musk going to release any of that evidence about Epstein? Because remember, Doge went in there and they had access to everything and all of the government agencies. Did they get into, the Department of Justice? Is that where the Epstein, I don't even know where the Epstein files would be. So, I'm sure Musk and his little Doge boys, big balls, had a way of, if they have those files, I'm curious if they have those files and if they will be releasing them or just like what's going to happen next. I'm not going to do about election interference. As I said, David from Tarot by the Bay did an outstanding reading on that. I just want to know, will there, with the election interference, that one was brought by Smart. The Election Truth Alliance has also been working on this in the swing states. And so I kind of want to know, are we going to start kind of seeing, like, we got that first one. Are we going to start seeing that ball, start to roll? David did get, I will say this, he got that, it was going to spread like wildfire, that more states would be doing that. So I just want to preface that I do know that from his reading. But I'm kind of interested also kind of more on the angle of, is Anonymous going to be kind of, releasing any information on that as well? And then I want to know about Peter Thiel. Are we watching a coup d'etat? And then finally, we're all getting that the Trump administration is coming to an end, but does that also include J.D. Vance? Is he, kind of like, so what I'm seeing is like kind of what's the order of things going to be, like the Trump administration ends. Does that mean that, we get Vance for a while until the election fraud, or are we going to start, getting, because that would be a pretty quick turnaround, for things to happen. So I'm just kind of curious about kind of like that order of things when it comes to what Peter Thiel is doing and the election interference, just kind of all that stuff. So long enough intro. And if you've watched this far, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. As I said, I'm going to get through these questions pretty quick, or as quick as, what Tarot will allow me. Okay, entertainment purposes only. I want to know what's going to happen next between Musk and Trump. What is going to happen next between Musk and Trump? Okay, do one more shuffle here. Okay. The heart of this is the Page of Cups. I think that in the lower energy, I'm going to read this as, a spoiled child. That's what's next, is a spoiled child who's got the goods. Okay, they have evidence, but not the maturity to know when to keep their mouth shut. So, yay for us. That's good news for us. So, yeah, this is going to be somebody who has evidence that is going to be, at the very least, taunting, with it, like what we saw about the Epstein files and the election, with Musk. So, let's see, will they release it? They're keeping it hidden for now, the Hermit card. Keeping whatever evidence they have hidden, okay? And the challenge is knowing when are they going to release this, okay? And so I asked what was going to happen next. Let's see if because this is kind of giving me Musk vibes, that Musk is the one with evidence. Even though Trump has said, we're going to do an investigation into the ketamine, use and the drug use there. So, but at the same time, threatening Musk with investigating him over drug use versus the Epstein files. Yeah, I'm thinking that if Musk has the Epstein files, there will be no investigation into Musk's drug use. Okay. Options. This is, do we burn it all to the ground? Do we walk away? So their options are either walking away or burning it all to the ground. We know that they are not going to walk away. I still don't know who this is because they're both, it's almost like they're the same person. So it really kind of is hard to tell. Real quick here. Musk's and Trump's energy it's different. Not only is there's an age, like I can feel that, like Trump's energy feels old and chaotic and kind of demented. Musk's energy is cold and calculated with a sprinkling of, ketamine. So ketamine drug use is a little bit different than, demented, old. and then to throw in, Stephen Miller. I don't like Stephen Miller. His energy is, you saw that, but it's almost like there's no energy there. He's just like, so it's weird. Okay. I mean, his energy is just, and then Putin's energy is very cold and blocked. So it's interesting when I'm doing readings because, like I get these feelings, and if I'm reading about several people, it's almost like emotional. It's a lot of stuff going on in there. So I will keep doing this and see if I can kind of figure out who we're talking about here. Okay. So somebody trying to decide, do we spill the goods, or when do we do this? When do we spill the goods? When are we going to burn it down at all costs? So yeah, I'm kind of almost feeling more of that. When are we going to do this here? Past experiences. Karma, man, she's a bitch. Karma's a bitch. So past experiences were oligarchs, they were on top. The hand of fate keeps turning the wheel. And yeah, I think that yesterday, which did all that happen on a Thursday? Yeah, that was the warm-up act. Get that popcorn ready. Okay, recent influences. This is the two of them, they were right there side by side, moving forward. Okay. And now this is not, this is like, this chariot has run its course. And not only that, but it's kind of like lost a wheel and it's like headed to the ledge. That's what I'm feeling with that. And then the potential is an offering for money, something tangible. I also wonder if this isn't like receipts being released. Okay. If that's receipts of, like they're showing, like whoever, I'm going to say this is giving me more Musk feels, because I feel like Trump can't release the receipts because it would implicate him, but Musk could release it, election fraud and like flee the country, or if JD Vance is, installed and gets a pardon. I'm kind of feeling like maybe there's like a timing issue of, how are we going to do this? But karma is definitely here, and they're figuring out a new way forward. I have a feeling that this is going to kind of tie in with that Peter Thiel stuff. So let me see what this Ace of Pentacles is. Like the next things that are happening here is there's nothing. Oh, well, I guess the Hermit card would be behind the scenes, but I don't usually read that as behind the scenes. I'm seeing this more as, Musk and Trump, or, Trump realizing Musk really does have evidence that could be released. And so what's he going to do next? That caged beast, I always get the strength, the strength card is, controlling the orange beast, and how are they going to try to control him? That's kind of the feeling I'm getting here. What is this Ace of Pentacles? The Ace of Pentacles. We have more that we can release. We will release it, and they may be teasing with some of it because this is an action card. Like, we're not going to talk about it. We're going to actually do it. We're going to implement the plan. And this is a card of making something happen, putting everything out on the table, because you have what you need to, create whatever it is that you're wanting to manifest, whatever it is you're wanting to create. You have everything that you need. Okay, so they have everything they need to take Trump down. Okay, this is going to be Elon Musk here. And also, if we come back to pages, a lot of times can be also children. And if you think about, what did little X say? We can do whatever we want. Did he become president? And then remember, there in the Oval Office, you're not actually the president. Hush, go away. That could, that is also there. Messages from a child. Listen to what little X has said. But I also think that that's just the evidence. This cup with the fish. They've got the evidence. They're deciding when to release it. They're keeping it hidden now. And then they're going to be telling Trump, it's almost like I get this feeling of, we're going to tell you how this is going to go. Okay. Since I'm getting that up here, is Trump going to resign to keep this stuff from coming out? Is Trump going to resign in an attempt to keep this from coming out? Is Trump going to resign? This is, a lot of times I had seen this as my Kamala Harris card, the Nine of Pentacles. It's also, our country, another woman. As I said, we're going to control the orange beast. New beginnings, a new way forward, new changes, a lot of female energy here. If you kind of look at, let's see, get these out. You've got a woman here in control. You have somebody who is speaking the truth and shedding light. The Nine of Pentacles is, the wealthy woman, could be our country, and the emotions, like taking care of our country. So these are all women here. I kind of, am wondering, a lot of times I get this as my Pam Bondi card. I'm just looking at this. Let's see. I was asking, is Trump going to resign? I'm looking at this. Maybe that is just so not in his nature. I'm wondering if he's not going to, if there's not going to be some kind of health issue that isn't you're not as healthy as what you should be. There's been some kind of, mental something that has been brought to light. And so he needs to do this. Like, he's going to resign to take care of his health for our country. Or maybe that's the messaging that comes out when he's no longer there. Okay. That's kind of what I'm feeling with that. Yeah, but a lot of women around there. That's interesting. Okay, let's see. Where do I want to go with this? Because I was asking kind of about Musk, and then it kind of the removing him. So I'm going to go ahead and jump down to pick these up. What is going to happen? Like, is he going to resign? Okay, so the Trump administration is coming to an end, but I want to know, like, what actually ends it first. This was saying like he was kind of those last cards was a health issue, impeachment, election fraud, or Peter Thiel's coup d'etat. So let me just do some, what ends this administration first. I'm just going to do 3 cards and just kind of, straight down those lists, and we'll see kind of which cards look stronger with that. Okay. What is going to be the first thing that brings this administration to an end? And let's look at a health issue first. Okay, health issue. 2, 3. Okay, that is, looking out for his health, that, it's become a burden. He needs to, watch out for his health. Impeachment. Is Musk going to get his wish and have Trump removed via impeachment? This is winning at all costs, shining a light into the corruption and making those decisions. And there's that King of Swords. That is looking like a possibility. The election fraud, is that what's going to be finally what brings this to an end? Is election fraud coming out? The government and our country, so this is definitely our country. King of Wands, messages coming out. Okay. And Peter Thiel's coup d'etat. Which that's kind of that impeachment thing too. But let's just, because that actually is looking like that could happen. Okay, and the coup d'etat that's being speculated about, MAGA, they've planned this for a long time. That is something. And 7s, 2 7s, like sevens, like making plans for the future. We're not quite sure what's going to happen. So if I'm looking at these, as far as like what has the stronger probability of like being that final thing, I think that his health is absolutely a concern. Okay. That, the 10 of Wands, this is like his health is becoming a burden. Okay. For him. And then the next one was, what was it? Health impeachment. That's looking like, people, if this is Peter Thiel, they're going to start releasing more information. And it's like that, what I got in that previous, round of cards was, they're going to be letting Trump know behind the scenes, and privately, we have this information. This is what you're going to do. You're either going to resign, or we're going to move forward with releasing this information. And you will be impeached. You will be gone. And they're going to do scorched earth on that. Okay. And in previous readings, I did get, now that I'm thinking about it, that Trump would know about things like a few days before they happened, and that, we would be like, he would have a health issue related to that. And if you realize, Trump went missing for 3 days earlier this week. So, that's another question. Did he know that this was getting ready to happen? And then as far as the other stuff, that's not looking, what was it? Election fraud. It's going to be coming out, but I don't think that that's going to happen as quickly as, really Trump, they're pushing him out. And then as far as the coup d'etat, they're planning it. This is something they've planned for a while. So I think that this is all wrapped up into that getting Trump impeached. Okay. Let's see. And I asked about real quick, this is running long, and I do realize that. So let's see. I had like 4 questions out here, and they kind of all just got wrapped up in no. So election interference, just real quick. I want to know, will there be additional court cases? Okay, will there be additional court cases? As I said, David got that there would be. Yes, there's more to come. There's more evidence. There's more receipts about Dawn, and he knows this. He knows that this is that it's coming out, and it will be the end of him. Yep, and there's the evidence. I've been getting that card in the, you've seen in this series of readings, the evidence is coming out. Okay. Will Anonymous be releasing more of this? Something for our, yes. And I don't know that it's going to be whatever Anonymous is releasing. It is part of this, but I get like, it's almost like a letdown. I hate to say that, please, Anonymous, if you're watching this. What I'm getting is like they release like a little bit at a time. Like they're going to kind of dribble it out. I don't know that they're just going to rip the Band-Aid off all at once. Okay. Let's see. How will we feel? Let's do that. How will we feel about what Anonymous has released? Because this is like, you know, we wish that there was more. I mean, we're happy with that they've released something. It is something that can be acted on in the courts, and the courts will act very quickly. So I just don't know that it's, that's weird. I don't think it's election interference because, let me take a minute here. Something that, emotional decisions that, and this could be that leaves MAGA out in the cold. That could be that. Yeah. This is MAGA's feeling left out in the cold because what they release brings a quick, there's quick action taken by the Justice Department, or not the Justice Department, not with Pam Bondi in there, but the courts. So somebody can bring suit on this. Okay. I think I'm just going to ask one final question. Okay. Thank you for hanging in here with me. I really do appreciate it. Are we going to, just 3 cards, are we going to end up with Kamala Harris as president? Happy home. Happier, you know, like a friend, nights, changes, emotional changes for happy home, and someone with patience and a better head on their shoulders, a better balance between what the people need and want and making that happen. So these are much more positive cards. So if I were to say yes or no, this is leaning more towards yes. Kamala Harris for president, as president. Okay, well, that was, I really do appreciate you hanging in there with me. This was a longer reading, and I know the beginning, you know, laughing and having fun with it. I do understand that this could be serious. I mean, are we seeing the beginning, opening act of a coup d'etat? That's kind of what it's looking like. It's looking like, yeah, they want to push Trump out. They're talking with him behind closed doors, or will be, if they haven't already, saying, and maybe that's what happened, you know, when Trump was missing for 3 days, you know, that, and I had got that, you know, that is going to be something that it would affect him emotionally and like mentally, you know, that mental health, that he would find out. And that could actually be what kind of pushed him. And then now, you know, that's kind of what we're seeing this last week. So, yeah, I'm just sitting here going, wow. I think that we're in for a pretty wild rest of June. And probably into July. So I will keep doing these readings. I will still be, you know, here doing this. And when just as a reminder, go over to the post because I will do written readings over there, especially if it's just something that I need to do real quick. I didn't do it yesterday because I knew, oh, this is a full reading that I needed to take time with. So that's what I did. And I really appreciate you hanging in there with me as this went way over from what I'm used to doing. So thank you very much for joining. I really, really do appreciate it. I'm going to put, subscribe and another, videos up here for you to look at. I'll probably link the June reading, so that will be easy access for you. And then also I did want, the Musk, the hot goss one, there was a lot that came out in that one too that we now have seen happen. So yeah, things are heating up, and not just because it's summer. So I will be here doing these readings, and I hope that you will continue to join me, and I will catch you on the next reading. Have a good day.